The two bodies in a flower planter case, which occurred in 1984 in Hong Kong, shook the public with its gruesome nature, bizarre details, and a series of unresolved mysteries. A foul odor of blood and decomposition wafting from a flower planter accidentally exposed a horrifying crime hidden beneath a layer of cement. Behind it all was a sequence of events tied to two businessmen brothers from Singapore, and a web of suspicious connections pointing to the powerful and enigmatic TZE family. Around 6 p.m. on March 30th, 1984, Hong Kong police received a call from Mr. Lam, a resident of Elizabeth House in Causeway Bay. Mr. Lam reported a black and reddish liquid resembling blood seeping from the long flower planter outside his window, accompanied by a foul stench. Upon arriving at apartment A3 on the 26th floor, officers confirmed the liquid was indeed blood, and the odor likely came from a decomposing body. The building was a mixed-use residential complex where two neighboring units typically shared a flower planter, separated only by a wall. The drainage system for these planters was also connected. Mr. Lam's planter was unused, and the liquid appeared to be leaking from the base of the wall, separating his unit from adjacent apartment A2. Police learned that the owner of apartment A2, a woman named Ms. Yip, had previously rented out the flat. After knocking repeatedly without a response and receiving the owner's permission, officers used a spare key to enter. The apartment was empty, furniture neatly arranged, but traces of blood were found on the window frame near the planter. The planter itself measured approximately 2.5 meters long and 0.3 meters wide and 1 meter deep, completely filled and sealed with cement. Police cordoned off the area and made the decision to excavate the flower planter to uncover what had happened. The next morning, it took the authorities 3 hours to completely break through the solid cement layer. The strong, foul stench rose up. The first thing they saw underneath was a bedsheet and a decorative bed cover. After opening them, they discovered two bodies wrapped in white cloth from head to toe, like mummies, stacked on top of each other in opposite directions. Both of their hands were tied behind their backs with iron chains and brass locks, and their legs were wrapped in bath towels. One person had 4 keys in his mouth, one of which could open the chain lock. Even more strangely, there were 2 green talismans placed underneath the bodies. In addition, inside the flower planter, there was a blood-stained hammer, entertainment magazines, a folder of documents, and many business cards. The 2 bodies had decomposed severely, making identification very difficult. Through a preliminary forensic examination, the authorities determined that both victims were adult Asian males, with clear signs of strangulation and multiple injuries on their bodies. The bodies were covered in blood, suspected to be from being brutally beaten before death. Based on the level of decomposition, the forensic doctor estimated the time of death to be between 10 and 30 days earlier. Traces of sleeping pills were found in the victims' stomachs, so the police suspected that the 2 victims had been strangled to death after taking sleeping pills. Ms. Diep stated that in early March, a Chinese-Indonesian man named Abdul Karm, around 40 years old, contacted her, saying that he was about to travel to Hong Kong with 2 other Indonesians and requested to rent the apartment for 3 months. The rent for the unit at Elizabeth's house was 5,800 Hong Kong dollars per month, which was quite expensive, but Abdul quickly agreed to pay the full amount up front. The building security reported that Abdul left on March 20th and had not been seen since. As for the two other Indonesian men, they had been missing long before that. One landlord revealed that they heard an argument in Unit A2 on March 11th, where a man shouted for help, followed by a woman speaking in a local dialect saying, "Don't do that." Another landlord stated that around March 15th, they constantly heard the sound of wall chiseling coming from Unit A2, as if construction work was being carried out. This person also saw a man and a woman carrying cement materials upstairs via the elevator. Based on this information, the police identified Abdul as the prime suspect. However, whether the two victims were indeed the two Indonesian men living with Abdul still required further verification. On April 3rd, police investigated a business card found in the flower through bearing the name Ta Tuan Tang, director of Phup Lop Company. Since this company was based in Singapore, the Hong Kong police notified the authorities there. Based on fingerprint and dental records, on April 4th, the authorities confirmed that the two bodies were Ta Tuan Tang, 27 years old, and his older brother Ta Tuan Fat, 32 years old. They were the sons of Ta Mii Tan, a well-known wealthy businessman in Singapore. The Ta family owned Million Goldsmiths, a jewelry company with 7 branches across Southeast Asia. Fat, the eldest son, had strong business acumen and was chosen as the heir. Tang, the third son, also helped with the family business. The relationship between the two brothers was always harmonious, and they co-founded Phup Lop Company in 1982. The two men arrived in Hong Kong on February 28th and stayed at the Royal Garden Hotel in Sim Sha Tsui. According to surveillance footage at Elizabeth's house, the Ta brothers entered the building on their own, without being forced. Investigating suspect Abdul, the police discovered that both his name and passport were fake, making it impossible to determine whether he had left Hong Kong. The two Indonesians who lived with Abdul had a close relationship with him and are also currently missing. The case reached a deadlock. At the same time, news about the deaths of two sons from a wealthy Singaporean family in Hong Kong spread rapidly across both Hong Kong and Singapore, stirring up public attention. One theory about the double murder suggested that the two brothers were involved in gold speculation fraud, causing significant financial losses to an Indonesian boss who then hired assassins to eliminate them. A completely different theory claimed that the Indonesian client was in deep debt and failed to repay. Both sides arranged a meeting in Hong Kong to negotiate, but when talks fell through, the Indonesian client decided to commit murder. Singaporean police speculated that the victims had been kidnapped and killed, as the Ta family reported receiving 2 ransom calls from the kidnappers before the bodies were discovered. During this period, Mr. Ta Miitan visited a temple in Singapore 3 times for fortune-telling, and 3 readings indicated that his sons were unlikely to survive. Later, the family received another phone call, this time with a number appearing to originate from Singapore. The caller instructed the family to look for a black plastic bag in the trash bin outside their home. Following the instructions, family found a photo inside the bag showing the 2 brothers tied up, along with a cassette tape. The tape contained the brothers' voices crying for help and ransom demand of 30 million Hong Kong dollars. During the investigation of the case, the Hong Kong police discovered that more than 10 phone calls had been made from the Elizabeth House building to Singapore since March 3rd. Based on the calls received by the Ta family in Singapore, the police speculated that someone in Singapore was also involved in the case and was very familiar with the Ta family. The most important thing was that, from the beginning to the end, neither the Hong Kong nor Singapore police received any reports regarding the kidnapping. The Ta family neither confirmed nor denied that the two brothers were kidnapped. Their attitude toward the murder was extremely indifferent. Additionally, there were rumors of family discord, with Mr. Ta's 5 sons and 3 daughters feeling dissatisfied, believing that their father's distribution of assets was unfair. The background motive and entire process of the case, as well as the identity of the suspects and the movements of the victims, all remain shrouded in mystery. The complex relationships and the silence of the victim's family left the police with no leads. The case was indefinitely stalled. As the case of the 2 bodies in the flower bed slowly faded from memory, another incident occurred at the Ta family residence. 26 years later, on the evening of January 4th, 2010, a woman named Chung Mo Nyung was found dead at a villa owned by the Ta family. During the investigation of the scene, the police discovered an empty glass on the table, with remnants resembling drugs inside. The door and windows of the room were tightly shut, with no signs of struggle. Additionally, no obvious injuries were found on Mo Nyung's body, leading the police to initially suspect suicide. Mo Nyung was the daughter-in-law of Mr. Ta Mi Tan and the sister-in-law of the 2 brothers Fat and Tang, who had died in the mysterious case of 1984. To outsiders, Mo Nyung seemed to lead an enviable life as a daughter-in-law of a wealthy family. Despite her gambling addiction, she was never in financial trouble. The police could not determine why she would have committed suicide. While alive, Mo Nyung had a peculiar fondness for the number 4. Despite it being considered unlucky by many people, from her house number, car license plate, to the number of her room, all featured the number 4. This led to associations with the 4 keys found in the mouth of the corpse in 1984 murder case. The 4 bedrooms on the 3rd floor of the villa were originally the residence of the 2 brothers Fat and Tang. For the past 26 years, these rooms had been sealed off and restricted from entry. After Mo Nyung's death, the Singaporean authorities requested the rooms be opened for the purpose of investigating the case. Inside, 4 small statues were placed under the blankets on the beds, each inscribed with the birth time and date of Fat and Tang. These statues were believed to be part of a type of sorcery intended to imprison their souls. The practice of wrapping the body in white cloth was thought to be a ritual to prevent demons from disturbing the spirit of the deceased and to pray for their peaceful transcendence. Additionally, the green talisman placed beneath the body was meant to stop the spirit of the deceased from disturbing the killer. Despite the many suspicions, the police could not link Mo Nyung's death to the murder case from years ago. The case of the 2 bodies in the flower bed remains unsolved to this day, becoming one of the most mysterious unsolved cases in Hong Kong. Despite many years of investigation, the case remains at an impasse with many unanswered questions. The ambiguous connections, spiritual elements, and the silence of those involved have made the deaths of the 2 Ta brothers an enduring mystery without resolution.